In 1964, a 17-year-old boy in San Diego decided to stop sleeping. Not because he was sick, not because of a bet. He wanted the world record. His name was Randy Gardner. By day 4, he was hallucinating. By day 6, he could not finish a sentence. By day 11, he had been awake for 264 hours. The scientists monitoring him were not studying willpower. They were watching a mind come apart in real time. Most people hear that story and think, extreme case. Most people are wrong. You do not need 11 days without sleep to begin losing your mind. You need about 17 hours. At the 17-hour mark, your cognitive performance drops to the equivalent of a blood alcohol level of 0.05. By 24 hours, it reaches 0.10. That is legally drunk in every country on Earth. The difference is that alcohol feels like something. Sleep deprivation does not. That is the part that makes it dangerous. Your brain loses the ability to measure what it is losing. You feel fine. You are not fine. The clock is already higher than you think it is. Let's go back to the beginning. The very first thing that happens when you stop sleeping is invisible. Your glymphatic system, a network of channels that runs through your brain and acts as its waste disposal, operates almost entirely during sleep. While you are unconscious, your brain cells shrink by about 60%, opening gaps between them. Cerebrospinal fluid floods those gaps and flushes out the metabolic waste your neurons have been producing all day. One of those waste products is a protein called beta amyloid, the same protein that accumulates in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Every night of sleep you get is your brain taking out its own trash. Every night you don't is a night the trash stays. After one night without sleep, something shifts in your emotional brain that most people never expect. A 2007 study led by neuroscientist Matthew Walker at the University of California, Berkeley, placed sleep-deprived subjects inside a brain scanner and showed them a series of images. Some were neutral, some were disturbing. In rested subjects, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational judgment, stayed connected to the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, and kept its responses proportionate. In the sleep-deprived subjects, the amygdala became 60% more reactive. And the connection to the prefrontal cortex had gone almost completely quiet. The brain had lost its ability to regulate its own emotional responses. Walker described it as an emotional accelerator with no brakes. You don't feel angrier. You just are. You don't notice the difference. Neither does anyone around you at first. But the emotional dysregulation is only the surface. The deeper damage is happening somewhere most people would never think to look. Your immune system runs on a schedule. Certain immune cells, the ones responsible for identifying and destroying abnormal cells before they become something worse, are produced and deployed primarily during sleep. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Experimental Medicine found that even one night of poor sleep reduced the effectiveness of these cells by 70%. Not slightly, 70%. The researchers were careful to note that this was not a chronic condition they were measuring. This was one bad night, the kind most people have several times a week. Now let's talk about your heart. In 2019, researchers analyzed data from 11 countries across 3 continents and found something that looked almost too clean to be real. In every single country where clocks move forward 1 hour for daylight saving time, hospital admissions for heart attacks spiked 24% the following day. Losing 1 hour. 1. And when the clocks fall back and people gain an hour of sleep, heart attack rates drop. The cardiovascular system is that sensitive to the quantity of sleep you get. Your heart is not a machine running independently of your rest. It is directly downstream of it. Here is where it gets stranger. In the early 1980s, a doctor in Bologna, Italy, noticed something wrong with a patient. The man was in his early 50s and had abruptly stopped sleeping, not struggling to sleep, not waking in the night, simply not sleeping at all. Within weeks, he had developed a tremor. Within months, he could not walk. He died less than a year after his last full night of sleep. The doctor, who later discovered the same condition had killed multiple members of the same family across several generations, had found something with no name yet. He called it fatal familial insomnia. It is caused by a single misfolded protein in the thalamus, the region of the brain that regulates the sleep-wake cycle. Once the protein misfolds, it begins converting surrounding proteins to its own shape, spreading through the thalamus like a fire. Sleep becomes impossible. The body cannot enter the state it requires to survive. And without that state, the body begins consuming itself. There are fewer than 30 families in the world known to carry the gene. The disease is extraordinarily rare. But what it reveals about sleep is not rare at all. It is a proof of concept written in the most extreme terms possible. Sleep is not rest. It is not downtime. It is not your body going offline. It is the most biologically active state your body enters. The hours you are unconscious are the hours your brain is consolidating memory, your immune system is resetting, your cardiovascular system is regulating, and your neurons are literally being cleaned. Take it away completely and you are dead within months. Take it away partially and you are being damaged in ways that do not announce themselves. And that is the part that matters for you, not the Italian family, not Randy Gardner. Matthew Walker spent years compiling the largest review of sleep research ever published. His conclusion was not tentative. No biological function, he wrote, survives without sleep. He looked at shortened sleep across millions of people and found associations with every major category of disease. Shorter sleep, shorter life. The data was not ambiguous. It was one of the clearest relationships in all of epidemiology. And yet somehow the modern world decided that sleep was optional, that staying up late was productivity, that needing 8 hours was weakness. We built an entire culture around the idea that the person who sleeps the least is the person working the hardest. We were wrong about that in the most expensive way possible. The damage does not feel like damage. It feels like normal. It feels like just how you are. Slightly slower, slightly more irritable, slightly less sharp than you think you should be. Most people carry this for years and call it aging. Some of it is. Randy Gardner, after 264 hours without sleep, finally went to bed on January 8, 1964. He slept for 14 hours and 40 minutes. He woke up and said he felt fine. His doctors were less confident. They had watched his brain degrade in real time over 11 days. They knew something he didn't. Recovery from that kind of deprivation is not one good night's sleep. It is weeks. Some of what is lost does not come back at all. He is 76 now. He has given interviews in recent years. He says the experiment was the stupidest thing he ever did. The record he set has never been officially attempted again. The Guinness Book of World Records retired the category. Not because the record was unbreakable, because the organization decided it was no longer willing to be responsible for encouraging people to try. That is what 17-year-old Randy Gardner did for the world record. What most of us are doing, voluntarily, several nights a week, for nothing at all, is harder to explain. Your brain is not resting right now. It is running maintenance on itself that it can only run when you are unconscious. Every hour you take from it is an hour it cannot get back. The waste stays. The cells do not recover. The immune response does not fully reset. You will not feel the specific moment any of this begins to matter. That is not how it works. It works the way water works on stone. Slowly. Invisibly. Until one day the shape of the thing is changed and you cannot remember what it used to look like. You already know you should sleep more. You have known that for years. The question worth sitting with is why, knowing that, you keep choosing not to.